So then people, welcome back to another episode of the Legacy Podcast. Now, I'm not too sure what number we're on, but we're on way over 140, so I'll let you make a strong guess from there. So if you're watching on the video, we're joined today by two very, very good guests. Another Linkup, which means podcasts at this point are tradition. So we've got Ibi, we've got Maka, and the topics that we're going to go into today are going to be absolutely unheard of. So we're going to go into some good topics on, networking, mindset, money, business, literally everything. But also just as an overview of this weekend, we've had obviously the two boys up. The portal is live now, so these have sort of been instated as, professors, frigging managing partners, whatever you want to call them. These are sort of like my two right hand man. If you're in the portal as well, we're all going to be aware of Joey Diaz. So almost in the sense of, I think I've done this as a caption as well, it's not so much friends at this point, it's just two cunts you can take over a country with. So these are my two cunts. Introduce yourself.
And I'm the bigger cunt. Nah, Ibi, I think you guys should know who I am by now. Maybe not behind these fresh Cartiers that I just bought today, which I will be shamelessly wearing throughout the whole pod. But no, it's going to be a good one. We're going to dive into a lot of things that we haven't really talked about before, lots of different self-improvement topics. And just, it's going to be a lot more uncensored because I think we're all getting to a point now where we're getting sick of not being able to speak on certain things.
Yeah, but that's why we have the poll, it's a free game.
Join the pool.
Yeah.
I'm not just plugging it. Join the fucking pool.
Yeah.
Be doing that too. Obviously, Maka, good weekend with the boys, and we're getting into business, into the main things as we're talking about unfiltered. That's what this podcast is going to be all about. So
yeah, but I guess we'll do catch ups first. I always like to do catch ups on podcasts because a lot can happen with the trajectory that we're on. Not in the sense that it's like overnight millionaires, but things have to change fast, and we're going to go into this with a lot of urgency and speed. From where we was last time versus to where we are now on a group level and an individual level, like so much has happened. So in regards to obviously what I've been up to on my behalf, a lot of it really has just been plugging away at a laptop. So I've obviously been developing stuff inside of the portal, but I've also been developing ventures and opportunities outside the portal as well. So I've been networking with a lot of other people, getting into a lot of different industries. The reason why I'm sort of diversifying myself so much is because skill sets matter a lot to me. I find that as a man, the more skill sets that I can have, the more opportunities that I can create for myself. A very basic one being learning another language. When you learn another language, it's like everything as a man can be gamified. So the concept of learning another language is unlocking an entirely new continent, an entirely new country. So a lot of my time, believe it or not, is if I was to give you an overview, I'm training where I can. Let's face it, training's taking a backseat, but we're on that. But most of the point now is just on the laptop. I have a tutor, I'm learning Italian once, twice a week. So most of it now is just developing new skill sets for me, and trying to document it where possible as well. So I guess that's...
Give them a little taste of the net worth of some of these guys that you've been hanging around with recently, because he's being very humble right now, and I understand why, but you fuckers also respond to numbers and stuff, so give them a little taste.
I think as well, I can't, because of the industries that I'm going into, I can't disclose fully, I can't give you everything, but what I'm trying to say here is the conversation and the net worth of these guys are, and in different areas as well, we're talking...
They're up there, they're up there, if you don't want to say specific numbers,
I won't say specific numbers. But the main premise...
I'll drop the number on Instagram later, follow me and prove it.
But the concept with this networking is that I wasn't always who I am today, and I wasn't always who I'm trying to become. I was very shy, timid, and we spoke about this when we was planning the podcast. I would need validation from other people, and ultimately, whatever you think of a man to be true, you will be so. So when I have people sort of speaking down to me and sort of saying, we're not necessarily better than you, but we make more than you, we do more than you, and you're always going to be this. Because I believe that to be so, I allowed it to be so. So almost like when you're in these situations where you fucking, you're literally within inches and sitting inside these fucking hypercars, you almost have a level of imposter syndrome where you're thinking that I'm still that old Josh type thing, and then you almost have to snap out of it and you actually realise who you are.
I'm that guy.
Yeah, and sort of who you become in the actual moment type thing. And it just sort of obviously, it allows you to just make sure that you're moving in the right direction as well. So I'll let you do an update.
Yeah, no, just been scaling the IEP really.
Yeah.
Had loads of help with, from Josh, just, getting the correct systems in place, automations, all that kind of stuff. So everything's moving at a really good pace. Constantly learning, improving myself. Training's been fucking amazing. I was on a bit of a recon with Josh's help for the last 4 months, but it's now gone into a really good bulk. I'm actually the strongest I've ever been. Probably the most muscle mass I've ever had. Maybe not the most, but certainly the most dense muscle. So for what it's worth, the cut's going to be insane next year. But yeah, pushing heavy now. Clients are getting good results on the mindset side of things as well as the physical side of training. So IEP is going well. It's really now just about scaling and literally, like you said, man, just day in, day out. I want to refer back to you started off saying, you've been living on the laptop and whatnot. I don't think you guys realize how hard, to be fair, both these guys work. I know Josh, literally fucking 18, 19 hours a day, he's on that laptop plugging away, doing things. This guy's work ethic is fucking ridiculous. But it's the fact that, you might not be the most talented guy in the room or whatever, because you're in the same room as me. But he turns up every day, and that 1%, we talk about this quite a lot over the weekend. The compounding effect adds up over time. So if you just fucking turn up 1% every day, and you're putting in that work, you're gonna beat anyone out there, because no one can compete with that. It doesn't matter how good you are at a certain thing. Just turn up, do it day in, day out. Consistency will always win. But yeah, in terms of everything, basically, it's going very well. I'm happy with where I am, and we're constantly leveling up and improving.
I've been gone for a bit in the background, but we're back now. Obviously, that's the main thing about having two people like Josh and Ibby around you, is just the accountability side of things. And whilst I haven't been gone doing nothing, I've been training, been busy.
Tell us about your fights.
Yeah, so obviously it's off season sort of now, so that's where we've been just in the dungeon, grinding, getting better. Looking forward to fighting in probably going to be mid-September, October time, so that's where we've been most of our focus. But as we was talking about, it not that it doesn't count if it's not online, but no one's going to sort of know and understand if you don't showcase it. And obviously that's what the journey's been about so far for me, is showcasing what I'm capable of, what's possible, and where you can be, and motivating other people to get on a journey themselves. And we're all big on self-improvement, so it'd be rude for me not to showcase what I'm doing in the background. And obviously that's where we're back to now, so busy posting, I'm networking as we all are. So
I think as well it's worth, I briefly mentioned this on some of the launch content when we actually did the portal. I've obviously sort of specifically chosen these two people, and we'll sort of speak about brotherhood and networking in a much more deeper level as we get into the podcast. But you'll notice that sort of each of us have our very strong areas of influence. And what I've done is I've specifically crafted this where these two are actually stronger than me in their given fields. And this basically allows us to be in a perpetual state of leveling up. So obviously you've got Maka that is constantly training. This guy, he was trying to put it towards me in posture, training twice a day when we had so much fucking work to do. So it's no matter what, we was out in Leeds and this guy was trying to buy protein bars just to stay on top of macros. There's that level of consistency and attitude towards training. We've then just got EB where he can constantly sort of reaffirm. So when I spoke about we could call it imposter syndrome, but obviously when I was networking with the guys, I came away and I was like, look bro, I felt out of my depth, I felt like I didn't belong there, I felt like I didn't have a place there. And then obviously again, it's that mindset, accountability to sort of reaffirm that. And then obviously myself, you need anything with a Wi-Fi connection, I can bring it to life, anything at all. So it's where I lack in certain areas, I can then fall on these two for that extra accountability, so that it stands me back up with my additional stronger structures, and vice versa for the other two.
Yeah, literally, that's why it works so well. That's how you need to kind of formulate your team almost. Like Josh said it, it may sound like an almost weird, robotic kind of way, but it's not really that, because we all thrive off of each other. Energy is real. We use each other's energy to level up, get better. I learn from Maka, he learns from me, I learn from Josh, he learns from me, vice versa. Now imagine you get 3 guys like that. That's literally all you need to take over the fucking world. And that's how we feel, when we're together, when we're working on things, our projects, etc. The rate of progress we've been going at for about a year now, coming up to a year, has been very, very good. So make sure when you're choosing your circle, you pick people wisely. Don't pick 2 people with the same background. Don't pick 2 people who, might be your friend or whatever. Pick people you can level up with. Pick people who are going to help you get to that next level, because ultimately that's what it's all about, especially when you come together with certain people. That's a very powerful force, and it can either be for good or bad, but you've got to make sure that you're with the right people and that you're going to use it for good.
I would honestly avoid using friends or definitely people from your hometown as well. Both these two people, obviously through social media and online, Mac obviously transitioned from a client to now fucking right hand man. Ibby online for the past like dating back to like 2017, 2018, a lot of years. But I've also got people that I've known since I was, for example, I've been in Bradford since I came into care, which is like 2004 onwards. So there's plenty of people that I could have chosen to sort of take on this journey, but what you'll find is that we're all growing at different lengths, we're all developing new opportunities. You know, Ibby has his stuff going on outside of coaching, I have mine, Mac has his. And what you'll find, especially if you're with quite close, because most people from here listening, you're from the UK, we're not the most, we have a strong presence within the world of economics and politics and power, but at the same time, the towns that you'll be from, we're not like Dubai, we're not fucking, you know, Miami or America where the opportunities are like that. So what I'm trying to say is, regardless of where you're from, there's always going to be an element of small town mentality. So when you're developing these connections and you're getting that first sort of taste of that next level of life, there's always going to be a level of bitterness. And if you look to sort of read between the lines with these people, they'll always hold you back.
Fucking losers, man.
I now like I will see people where like we started off at the same point and I'm sort of seeing where they are now, and there is almost like they don't react to my stuff, they don't engage with stuff. So if I'd have taken them on that journey, they'd have just held me down. So choose your
crabs in a bucket.
Choose your very like circle, you know, closely, so to say. But also as well, we're here with my good luck charm as well. So we don't want to talk about Tates release.
Yeah.
Every single time we have some. So every single time we link up, you guys know that we always do a podcast, and every single time there'll be some consistent listeners on here. I know if you're listening to this, you'll be a regular. Every single time we do these collaborative podcasts, there is always an update of Tate. Now, for the past 2 instances, they prolonged his house arrest, and on the third one, they finally released Top G. They finally let him out. So free up.
It's only right that I do this for the rest of the pod now. But seriously, all I'm going to say is this. Fuck you to everyone that was like did not read between the lines. Just learn how to, you know, research for yourself, man. Like it was so obvious if you actually looked at the case that was being presented against them, there was fuck all evidence there. But obviously people just run with headlines and whatever the media are pushing. You guys have to understand that he's spoken about certain things that the government won't be happy about. Therefore, all media, which is government owned, it's not some free regulated thing like people. You've got to be so naive to think that, honestly, at this point. But some people do believe that. It's not free and, you know, unregulated. Everything is controlled, everything is propagated, everything is put out for a reason. So they couldn't get him. There was something before the actual arrest that they were trying to say he did. I can't remember now, but there was one thing, and he talked about it was like the first strike or whatever. Then the second strike was obviously the arrest. They tried putting together this whole case against him. None of it stuck because there was nothing to it. All the so-called evidence against him was disproven, or people came out that they were being paid to say certain things, or, you know, they were just straight up fabricated lies and stuff like that. So I think it really just does go to show throughout this whole ordeal, like who actually looks into things. I hate to say it, it's kind of like cliche at this point, but who's an NPC and who actually does their own research, man. You guys have to be so careful. Forget Tate for a second, like just do yourself a favor, like look into things, man. Like, you know how many people just go off of, I think we spoke about this, how many people just go off of what other people say? Like, there could be a topic they have zero knowledge about, but because their friend has said this about it, they'll then propagate that to someone else to almost be more accepted or something, or validated or whatever, or to feel like they can converse about that thing. It's okay to put your hands up and say, look, I don't know about this, I need to research this myself, I need to look at, you know, neutral sources and reach my own conclusion. And there's too much bullshit out there, especially on the internet. It's fucking huge to be going in blindlessly, you know, being pulled to one side by this article, by that article, by whatever, you know, social media is pushing this, that and the other. Like, you guys have to really look at things analytically, because everything on the internet is being put out for a reason. So, you know, do yourself a favour and actually research things.
I think we touched on it on the last podcast though, like critical thinking anyway, but he was going into the strikes there. Now he's out, he's free, he's a free man. The only thing left for them to do though is to seal the deal and get rid of him. So I know what you've been saying. So hopefully that doesn't come to fruition, but
maybe it was part of the plan. Maybe because he always spoke about the next phase of the plan. Maybe getting arrested was part of the plan.
Yeah.
You know, he just came out and he's getting a 101 Bugatti. Yeah. Like, it's crazy.
I just mean, like, they might just get rid of him. He might just do. If anyone's played GTA, you know, where Michael faked his own funeral, like shit like that.
Maybe. Yeah.
But like, I don't think we're not going to go like too deep into these kind of things or whatever, but it does happen more often than not. Like, you'd be surprised, guys, if you actually look into things.
you think about Kanye, like where's Kanye going?
Yeah, Kanye's.
Yeah, I don't know.
Blacklisted.
This is, yeah.
He doesn't even look the same. Like, I hate to be one of those
It's just
guys, but he
AI.
literally looks like he's like a fucking robot or something, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what happened to the old Kanye?
Yeah, that's the name of the podcast. What happened to the old Kanye? Boom, we're sorted. See you next week, guys. But no, the thing that I want to focus on there is your actual, so sort of like with the whole Tate thing as well. When you are, you know, obviously you're pushing for truth, you're pushing for all of this stuff, there is going to be resistance. And almost in the sense that when you create an idea and sort of you have your purpose, your vision, you're sort of putting out your energy, what you believe to be internally true, into the external universe. Now this cannot be killed. It's a law. Like, energy cannot be killed. It can be merely transferred from one place to another. So ultimately what Tate's done, and this is it's what I'm trying to replicate for when I have sons and I passed on my legacy. It's creating something that cannot be killed. This is the difference almost between being rich and being wealthy. Tate could be vanished right now, but he's done and ultimately it's sad, but I genuinely believe, like, give it a year, like, he's going to be gone.
Yeah, slightly I think so as well.
It's just unfortunate the way it is. Like, you can't have, social media now has made it so that there are certain people that have more power than small countries in one social media account. They cannot, like, for example, TikTok is due to be shut down in certain countries. It's gone way out of its hands. And when we pair that with AI, it's, so people like Tate, where they can influence like entire generations now, he's going to get snipped soon.
I think someone said it as well, like a few months ago, Tate could literally influence an election.
Yeah.
So obviously, without getting too political, his, I guess, beliefs and values line up more with, say, conservative America than liberal America. Now, obviously, anyone who knows a fucking clue about anything knows that social media is very liberal. So basically, what he pushes goes against the mainstream agenda, hence why they tried to silence him. He could literally influence millions of votes if he turned around and said, I'm going to vote for Trump or something. He might have actually. I don't know. Honestly, guys, I don't know, but yeah, you know, his beliefs and values line up more with that. So he's powerful, man. Like, he's got a lot of influence. Like, you know, when you were saying that, it kind of reminded me of that scene from Batman. It's like, you can kill the man, but you can't kill the idea type.
Yeah, that was literally what I was about to say afterwards. It's the fact that now he's done enough work so that even if he is here or he is not here, his idea, his vision, his purpose still lives on through, you know, and it impacts all of us on a day-to-day basis. You know, it's allowed me to sort of take off the sheath, the cover of who I always was type thing, and there's no sort of fear of, you know, if I say this, will people like me? Will people not like me? But now it's like I can say what I say and think what I feel, and I get to fall asleep at night just being content. You know, as we're all growing on this rapid trajectory, I'm growing as a character that I am authentically am, which is such a peaceful feeling that I think as social media becomes more prominent, less and less people are actually going to get to experience. Yeah. Because everyone's trying to be, and especially you only see this in the media, everyone's trying to be correct rather than truthful, which are two very, very different things. I always have to make sure I get those two the right way around. So
I think it's important as well that other people are also pushing that narrative, because regardless of the message being still portrayed, even if he's gone, we still need other people to be on that forefront and keep pushing, because even though he's displayed his message to everyone, I'm still not sure that it's going to make a change with just the way the world's gone. Like, it's going to need a monumental impact for it to.
You know, I kind of disagree with you for one main reason. So I believe in, like, you know, the pendulum swing. I think we've gone so far extreme to this sort of woke liberal ideology stuff that people are just getting bitter and angry, and now there's going to be an extreme shift to the other side. Obviously that's going to be trying to be suppressed by those in charge, but in terms of what you see on social media, like post-Tate era, let's just call it, have we not seen so many of these like wannabe Tates of these, he says in his but like obviously like there's way more people pushing that kind of message now and stuff like that, so I think people are just sick of how the world, the direction of society's going.
People are full of shit nowadays. I think like speaking about it versus living it are two very different things.
100%,
So like it's calm, you know, like I can literally make 2 separate TikTok accounts, look at Tate's old videos, replicate those and be a wannabe Tate, but I don't have a Bugatti, I'm not in Dubai, I'm not around the world in jets, so all I'm really doing is speaking about it. I'm not really doing anything different. And I think we've sort of like, you know, AI and generally things becoming like, we've got that Neuralink and shit like that. Everything's becoming now digital, so that whole pathway of actually being about that life is only going to be more finite as time goes on. So it's cool to have that pendulum, and I do want it to be true. But the majority of people are, like we spoke about with the books and everything, for the majority of people speaking, obviously this will be repurposed and we'll get some clips and stuff like that. A lot of you watching this will have seen 48 Laws of Power and read that book and be aware of it. But I could probably think of maybe 40, 50 people that I've had a conversation with and have heard of that book and know of that book. I probably know sub 5 people that are actually aware and practice and deploy those laws on a daily basis. So if you look at those numbers there, sure, people are aware of it, but common knowledge is not always common practice. So you can see that and sort of think, right, you're almost in a state of defeat. I always like to see it as the bar is set so incredibly low, it's easy to blow everybody out of the water these days. Because all you have to do is just action what you're learning. Everything is available to you instantaneously, so you can sort of see that as a lazy way and think, right, I can go on TikTok for my news instead of BBC. Or you can think of, right, I can reach people in seconds across the world globally. I can develop new connections. I can, for example, TikTok's helping me learn new languages. It's helping me learn about stocks, because it's so fast and instantaneous. Back when crypto was booming and stuff, obviously Ibby is the go-to crypto guy for anything like that. So I would be on TikTok and I could see a video or on Twitter, screenshot it within a second, send it over, and sometimes it was a decent information because it's so fast-paced. For the news to get it, the process of them acquiring information versus social media platforms, it's much more quicker, which means you get access to better data. So you can use it to your benefit, or just carry on being a loser and just keep scrolling past videos.
Yeah, so
it depends how you use it.
It's a powerful tool, man. It literally, like you said, it just depends on how you use it. You can use it to build a business. You can use it to get girls if that's really what you want. Though I do think you're a bit of a fucking cuck. But if that's what you want, you can do that. You can use it to network. You can use it to market. You can it's not necessarily something that should consume you, but it does consume the majority of people. But if you use it to your advantage, you leverage it the way you want to use social media, then it can be a very powerful tool. How many businesses now, how many small businesses are on social media? Back in the day, that would be unheard of. The main form of marketing would be word of mouth, would be newspapers, would be billboards, TV advertisements. When was the last time you saw something on TV and you bought it?
Yeah.
We're in a very different era now, so make sure you're on top of these things, use them to your advantage, because they're not going away. If anything, we're pushing more into that direction. So
we wouldn't have met literally without it, so we've got the internet to thank for that.
It's crazy. Even with big businesses having literal TikTok accounts now, that app faced so much resistance at the start, and now you've got friggin' news platforms on it. You've got friggin'
that guy, the blonde hair guy. He puts out neutral kind of news or whatever.
Yeah. He was a cool guy actually. I actually learned about him. He's basically now he gets more traffic and more views as opposed to actual big traffic sources like CNN.
Yeah, that's mad.
Or
what era? What a fucking era we live in, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, and because of him, he influenced a fact that a certain stat now more people go to apps and social media as opposed to actually turning on the TV. Viewings have gone significantly downhill.
Wow.
And they've actually gone over to TikTok and more actual Twitter-based platforms now.
Good for him, man. Wow.
So, I'll check next topic. My fucking thing went off. So living life you want, have appearance. Yeah, so we'll talk about game characters as a man, living the life that you want to live by developing your purpose, and then essentially faking it till you make it. And then that'll feed us into energy as a currency.
Calm, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Okay, so as almost a next topic to go into, a different route to go down into, something that is actually very important to me, something that, especially if you watch my social media, you may have seen a little bit of it. I want to talk about sort of your character and your brand as a man, and almost the life that you want to live. As humans, and again, it may not be as man, I understand there's going to be some girls watching this as well. Everybody has a life that they want
to you.
Everyone has a life that they want to live, a level of life that they want to get to, who's to gamify it, they want to get to that next stage. But very few actually get there, and most people actually stay in the state of their past self and sort of their past limitations, which results in them never actually getting where they want to be. So one of the biggest sort of steps that you can do is look at what the life that you want to have and act as if you already have it already. And what you'll do is almost as if it is a state of fake it till you make it, before you know it, you are already in that lifestyle to start with. For example, with me, you'll sort of see on my, and this is obviously because of like lifestyle and the opportunities that I do outside of work and stuff like that. You'll generally notice that I wear a lot more like suits or money style, sort of like fashion, formal wear, and it's almost sort of like different, sort of like where we was a year ago, like we were in the gym.
It looks like we've switched wardrobes.
Yeah, it almost looks like we switched wardrobes today. But it could almost be sort of like, and again, with such a big change, we'll be met with resistance. Like, there's probably a lot of people wondering, sort of like, you know, what's this new style or anything. But honestly, it's the concept of living into the life that you want and living into your purpose. And whatever you believe to be so, will be so as a man. You know, he who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right. And I sort of spent a lot of time where I would actually create more distance between the life that I wanted, because I would deem it to be so far out of my reach and sort of so unobtainable that I was just sort of stuck in my own limitations of not feeling like I was good enough, not being capable of doing those things, being too fucking lazy to actually go out and do the work. Whereas now, I sort of, for example, as much as I always speak about it, but no one ever sees it, I've obviously got my amplification board, which is a vision board, but sort of like it's been specified to me. You know, it's got certain images that will link into the lifestyle that I want. Whereas now, what I actually do is, I've had dreams about certain cars. For example, the cigar lounge where I go to, there's a jeweller's outside where I'm going to go buy my first Rolex, where I'm going to actually develop my connections and get into the watch industry. So I actually embed myself in places and I envision these things, and slowly but surely it's becoming a life that we actually are living. Like, there's scenarios that I've been in now where I didn't even think were possible, like a couple of years ago. So I sort of see where you do stand on that as well.
No, I completely agree and relate to everything you said. I mean, fake it till you make it. The whole concept is a little bit weird when you're kind of younger because you don't really have anything to base it on.
Yeah.
But it is, I'll tell you this, it's very surprising how many more opportunities and how many more doors open up for you and how many more people take you seriously when you dress a certain way, when you present yourself a certain way, when you try and force the lifestyle that you want to be living, like it naturally just comes.
Yeah.
It's a very sort of underrated way of, let's say, progressing or leveling up in life, because you're almost forcing, the universe to give you what you want. And as you said, going back to like, your thoughts and whatnot, like every great idea that man has ever had has first been born of the subconscious mind.
Literally.
So we are our own sort of most powerful tool, if we want to be a certain way, if we want to feel a certain way, force the universe to give you what you want. And I don't want to sound too like wishy-washy spiritual here, but in the sense of your external world will react to whatever you do in the internal. Like, that's a fact. I'm telling you guys this from experience, and I think we can all probably have or share experiences with these guys that would showcase that. You're forcing the world to give you what you want. You're forcing that lifestyle, because otherwise, if you're not taking these little steps, then how do you really expect to reach where you want to reach? Even if you have a slight imposter syndrome or whatever, you're going to overcome that, and then you're going to be firmly at that next step, and then you take the next step and the next step, and eventually you're where you want to be before you even know it.
I think it's a skill to learn as well. Like, most people won't step outside that comfort zone, but once you start doing it more often, things become less and less scary. When you keep doing them, and like getting to know the boys over the weekend, it's been mad. I feel like we've connected so much more this week than anything. And a big topic over the week has been like TV films like OG, like Scarface, and we was talking about like your Cillian Murphys and Peaky Blinders, your Ghost and Powers, and that's the main man. And it's just almost like you get to pick who you want to be, and you can like look at these characters and think, I like that attribute that he's got, and you can implement that in yourself. But you need to work on that consistently, daily. And most people think like people wake up like that, it doesn't work like that. You've got to build that into yourself. They're all skills you can learn. Only like the top peak athletes and stuff, like genetics do play a certain role. And like we're all big on Robert Greene and his ways of wording things, and once you start learning these things, it's almost like a new life. Like you don't understand until you understand. You don't know what you don't know.
Life is a video game ultimately. That's how I look at it, and I think that's how a lot of guys should look at it. You get XP from doing certain things, side quests, main quests, etc. But as long as you're leveling up over time, you can craft whatever life you want. You go out there, you acquire this piece of knowledge, You go out there, you start training, you build your physique up. You go out there, you start making money, etc. All these things compound over time. You're leveling up constantly throughout your entire life, especially as a man. You can build whatever lifestyle you want. You can reach whatever goals you want. This isn't some like Tony Robbins fucking inspirational speech, but the truth is, everything is possible. Nothing is off the table. It just depends on what you want and how much you're willing to put in.
Yeah, of course. It's crazy as well, and I think the whole situation, it's the statement that I don't like. Like, it's not, everything we said is true, but the fake it till you make it, it's the only entry point I know to actually expand on this point. So it just genuinely needs rebranding. Because, you know, fake, it's not, you know, to be masculine, to be a man, to be a good, high value human being, you can't be fake, you have to be authentic. So when we say fake it till you make it, it's more living.
Force it till you make it.
Yeah, it's more for, and almost like just take what's yours, like the world is yours. So it's like you can, you know, it's, I think David Goggins has mentioned it, it's like, for example, as much as I'm not overly religious or anything like that, I do believe that like when it gets to that time, there's a version of yourself that you was meant to become, and obviously like you can obviously get to that stage and you can fall short of it, you can be that person you was meant to be, or in some instances you can even overachieve it. So when we say that, it's almost like living to who you know that you want to be, should be, and almost that the universe will tell you to be. You know, obviously myself and Ibi, as well as Maka, we've done a lot of research, and obviously Ibi's put me on some good resources with like universal laws and sort of understanding frequencies and energy, and it generally allows you to, signs are everywhere, bro. Like literally the universe is always trying to tell you something. One of the most simplest things is, I'm a sucker for procrastinating on social media, and this might be me just deeping it too much, but let me just be honest with you. So I'll be scrolling through social media and I know I'll have like a task to do. I've got to film a video, send a document over, get on a call, and I'll just fall into like my NPC patterns, and I'll scroll and I'll scroll and I'll scroll, and what will happen is there'll be a video and it'll lag straight away, and it'll lag, and then I see that as a sign from the universe saying, right, that's your sign to get to work type thing. Am I deep in it too much, or is that a...
No, it's funny, I look at the exact same scenario sometimes. Like I think if a video is buffering or a video is not loading or whatever, or like for example, sometimes I'll get like a notification to do with work when I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing, and then it's just like switch back on and get back into the mode, like that's it. Like I mean, personally, one of the laws that I attest by is that, I think I was talking to you about this,
I was gonna say,
there are no coincidences.
Yeah.
I'm telling you guys, if you live your life that way, whether you believe it or not, I firmly believe it, but whether you believe it or not, you live your life that way, a lot more doors are going to open up for you, a lot more opportunities. You're going to see yourself level up in a short amount of time because you take initiative when you truly believe that. You know, everything happens for a reason. I believe it 100%. So it forces me to take action. It forces me to go outside of my comfort zone. It forces me to look at things, you know, for more than what they just are. And ultimately, all these things are brilliant at self-mastery and leveling up, which is why I'm a big fan of a lot of the esoteric kind of texts. And like Josh said, I've been putting these guys onto, you know, material that's ultimately just going to help them in their own self-improvement and self-mastery journeys.
Yeah. I think as well, it almost, so you've understood the concept of energy, you've understood living into the life that you want to do and using sort of unlocking the keys to the universe. You do this, then you almost double down, and the you know, the nice pretty pink bow that puts it all together is your appearance. This is something that is so underlooked yet massively overlooked at the same time. Like everyone will always say, like, or either they don't pay attention to how they look, or there's a negative connotation with being focused on how you look by regarding it as feminine, cocky, too confident, or anything like that. Your appearance is everything, your brand. For example, I think a lot of the reason why I've chosen these two and how we sort of network so well is we operate like businesses. So like we have a business, but I actually treat my body like a business. So like I'm the CEO of my mindset, everything works for me, like I put stuff to work each day. Your appearance plays a massive role in that, and it's something that I've been working on a lot lately, and it helps because everything in human interaction outside the external is going to be visual. And essentially, we can back that up with the fact that light travels faster than sound, right? So everything visual, you will be seen before you will be heard, generally speaking. Obviously with technology and stuff like that, but in a practical sense, someone is going to see you and make eye contact before they hear your voice. So you've got to look at that and think, what can you do if you've got a point to make, if you've got a connection or an impression to make? They're going to judge you based off of your appearance, and doesn't matter what you get told or how many inspirational movies you get matter, people are judgmental and they judge you based off of how you look. I can say that. I can try pull up a screen of Harvey saying that. I think he said it in season 2, episode 3 of Suits. He mentioned obviously the suits, and obviously clients judge them and how they look, therefore you need to look the part. You have to pay attention to your branding. And this isn't me to sort of say that, you've got to wear suits, you've got to be wearing 3-piece and tuxes all the time.
Or some like Barbie shirt.
It's more just like you've just got to pay attention to how you look. And honestly, you will look at these micro expressions. Like, I wear a lot of suits now just generally because of what I do. But the eye contact and the behavioural patterns and the exchange of energy moving forwards before on that is completely different as opposed to tracksuits and milers and shit like that. I have 2 phones. Obviously, understandably, I'm from Bradford, so the appearance doesn't make the best thing anyway. But I have 2 phones. Now, when I'm in a night tech and I have 2 phones and I'm on a train or I'm going somewhere, the amount of looks that you get is absolutely crazy. You'll get the odd person that makes a comment, instant deal straight away. But when I'm in a suit, no one bats an eyelid. If anything, it aids to more of that more powerful influence of like, this guy must know what he's on about if he's got 2 phones. So that little example there shows you that people think with their eyes. And if you can learn to understand that, and you'll understand it's one of humanity's biggest downfalls, you'll learn to use that to your power. So dress how you...
Yeah.
I put this on my Insta, dress how you want to be addressed, and I'll stop waffling from there.
Yeah, no, just to quickly add on, because Josh really covered all of it, but it's like, if you understand the rules of the game and yet you still refuse to play, i.e. those people who say they would rather dress, in a comfortable manner or something that is suited to them because they don't care what anyone else thinks, I think that's such a lazy cop-out. You understand that humans are going to judge you because we are visual creatures. We know nothing of the people we come across apart from their body language, the clothes they're wearing, so of course we're going to judge you based off of that. And if you still choose to not dress up to the standard that you want to be judged on and the way you want to be perceived, because I want to be comfortable, you're a pussy.
Too many people play the humble card as well, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be humble, but you're just doing yourself a disjustice on what people are. You're just going to get overlooked by most people, and that just counteracts what you're trying to do. You're trying to put yourself out there.
I've been sleeping in 3-piece suits. That's how much I live this life.
I think as well with the point you made on being humble is, these are not words that you get to determine yourself. It's your behaviour and your actions that will warrant you the qualification to be called that. Like, if you, like, a lion will never have to tell you he's a lion. If you call yourself humble, then you're not humble. If you call yourself confident, then you're not confident, type thing. These are ways that you have to present yourself in your posture, your mannerisms. For example, I'll show you, I'll get a hold of the timestamp and I'll put up 2 images of me in a suit. Me in a suit at prom and me in a suit most recently. I'm still Josh, I'm still the same guy. Well, I'm still wearing the same suit, but the person has completely changed. It's never the suit, it's the man wearing the suit type thing. So you are not like, if you've got to tell yourself like that you can get girls, you get no girls at all. These are things that you back up with your actions type thing, and people will say, oh, that guy gets girls. Or that guy Josh is a very, very humble guy. Look at how he speaks, how he acts type thing. So you will never call yourself these things. These are things that if you want them to be so, use your actions to back it up and let people acknowledge that for you, I would say.
Yeah, even like a few of my close friends, like, if anyone doesn't know me, obviously go and check my Instagram out about what journey I've gone through, and they say like it's literally speaking to 2 different people from like a year ago. Your physical presentation is just a representation of what you've been doing on the inside, on the internal. So most people don't see it like that, and you've almost got to look at yourself like a business to market yourself. Like, if you look at someone online and they're trying to sell you a course and they've got Bugattis, whatever behind them, you're gonna listen to them. But if he's sitting there in Nissan or a Toyota, he's just going to swipe up, and that's just the world we live in today. Unfortunately, you've just got to take part and take control of what you can do, and that is a big variable on what you can take control of, so why not master it?
Wait, so are you saying that I should rent out like a supercar and then start selling courses?
So you can't buy it, bro.
Habibi, let's go to Dubai, you can get a Lambo delivered faster.
Have we discovered gold here, boys? What's going on?
Yeah. So next time we link up, you're going to see more Lambos, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I guess it sort of leads into energy as a currency. So when we spoke, for example, Maka just spoke about then, like, and I get this as well, like, people will see us and people may be seeing you if you're watching this, especially if you're still listening at this given second. I already know you're on our wavelength and you speak our language. So I'll open this to all of us, speakers and listeners included. You'll be at a position now where you are now versus where you are a year ago, 2 years ago, 3, 2 completely different people. and that is going to be met on a coin approach. So it's either going to be met with resistance or it's going to be met with respect. The people that are going to be met with resistance are threatened because they haven't got to the levels that you've gotten in the same time, which goes back to my first point of never fraternise and do business with people in your same town and close friends. So they're the people that are going to resist it. You then want to look at the people that are going to respect it, and they're going to actually understand the effort that it's taken to go through what you've gone through and present it in your physical sense. Almost in that sense of like resistance, energy is a currency. So we know that energy is you as a person, it's how you speak, it's how you walk. A lot of energy as well as it's such a hard concept to understand because it goes into the things that you cannot actually see. So energy is it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not the suit that you wear, it's how you walk in the suit. It's not how you close that call, it's what you say to actually get on that call and close that call. So energy as a currency is something that you spend, and I want you to see it as a bank balance. Obviously, maybe I'll let you sort of go into energy and then I'll sort of add on to it.
Yeah, no, it was to be fair, that was a spot on introduction.
Yeah.
So look at it as something as, it's an external reflection of what you're doing basically, right? So it can be things that are unseen. For example, say I don't know Josh, I go up to him in the street and I criticize him for something. Maybe I don't like the suit he's wearing or something. I'm invoking a negative reaction from him. I'm getting negative energy from him. Vice versa, I give him a compliment, I'm getting positive energy from him. Look at it like that, guys. Like it goes beyond just, physical things or, things that can be seen or whatever. Energy is like almost, it's hard to put into words really, but something you can get from someone else basically, and you can harness it. It can be good or bad, and you can harness it to your advantage or let it affect you. Yeah. But when you understand the sort of laws of energy, you'll realize that look, if you put all your time and effort and your thoughts and your belief patterns into whatever it is you're looking to achieve, through the power of energy, you can do it. Yeah. It's not some mystical fucking thing that it gets a bad rep because
definitely.
The mainstream sort of astrology white girls who are always talking about energy and all that kind of stuff. But really and truly, guys, look, it is there. It can never be destroyed. Once you have an idea, it's there, it's born. It's up to you then to motion it through action into the real world. So, put your energy and time and efforts into whatever it is you're looking to achieve, and I guarantee you will achieve it because energy doesn't lie. It cannot be faked. If it's there, and you can use it to your advantage.
Yeah, where focus goes, energy flows. Literally, you need to be mindful on things like that. And as Josh was saying, it's almost like a bank balance. Like you only get so much of it to use. And I was saying I love to learn, I love to read, and there's only so much of it you can do. Like your mind's not unlimited source of power. You will start to feel bogged down, whatever, and meditation's a big thing, to bring you back into just more like a neutral state, so you can reassess where you want to focus on next and be in the present moment. And again, all this aura and stuff that girls go into these days, but it is true.
Crystals.
Yeah, we don't do any of that here.
Don't worry, guys. We're not
only crystal meth. But I think with energy, we're talking about a topic that I understand you guys will know about, but you may not understand the actual practical applications of it. So very, very simple example. The topic that we had down was energy as a currency. So if you look at currency, I would use currency as a reflection of money. GBP, USD, yen, krona, it could be anything at all. So I want you to view it as literal bank balance. Now, energy is a currency. You've got money in your bank balance. You've already put work in to get that money. So that is, I almost want you to think of your work as the thought process. So by now you've thought something to be true, you've put in a certain amount of hours, 40 hours at work. That then is going to create the energy. So that is the energy that you can then put out into the universe. When you have money in your bank, you spend it. Now you can spend it on, we'll go down the routes of assets and liabilities. You can go spend it on a £1,000 jacket and you've got £1,000 in your account because that's the work that you've put in and that's the energy that you've harnessed for this given situation. £1,000 in your account, £1,000 on a Moncler, it's going to leave you at zero. And it's also going to make you no money because where can a Moncler jacket make you money? So we know that that's not going to pay off, but it's still a choice on the table. Same £1,000, you put it into a course, you could even delegate and put it into some coffee shops in rich areas. You could put it into, if you need to get to another location, you could put it into a car. So we've got a couple of examples here. Same £1,000, same idea, same energy, but because you've seen it as a currency, which one is going to grant you the most progress? You've got a Montclair, or you've got a car that's going to get you to locations, you've got courses that are going to develop your education, you've got connections and locations which are going to put you in better situations. The concept of energy is that you're thinking of these ideas and you're harnessing this energy, and you can either spend it on low vibrational people or high vibrational people, and depending on how you spend that currency, because it runs out, not necessarily where it will be destroyed or anything like that, but if you constantly spend it with low vibrational people, you know, bums, brokies, losers, simps, cooks, all these types of shit, if you spend it with people like that, you're going to become what you surround yourself with.
It drains you over time.
Exactly.
That's why you have to be very careful.
And what happens is, as you run out of your energy, as you sort of run down your bank balance, you then begin to inhale their bank balance and their energy, right? So what happens is, you end up, and this is where the statement of you become your surroundings with, because you end up exhausting yourself, you end up becoming low vibrational yourself, and you take on the vibration of others, because misery loves company. So if you surround yourself with 5 losers, it's so easy to become a loser because you've got 5 sources of energy coming in to feed your bank balance again. So if we look at that on the converse side, or becoming high vibrational, you've then got the idea of, you surround yourself with 5 people that have Lambos, how are you not going to have a Lambo? Because you're going to understand the application process. You're going to be in the passenger seat where you're going to learn how to drive them. You know, you're going to be aware of the ideas to actually get hold of them. So then you're going to start developing businesses, ideas, energy. You can't come away from these people and not feel motivated. So then your energy is then going to be harnessed, and you're actually going to come out with more than £1,000 in your theoretical energy balance. So you're then going to become richer. So you almost got, if they've all got 1,000, you've got your 1,000 plus their 5, you have £6,000 worth of energy. So that's sort of like a practical workshop of energy as a currency. That's sort of where I very strongly stand on energy, I think.
Yeah, I just want to add a few things to what you both said, to be fair. First of all, look at it logically, guys. You know, if you were to surround yourself, and the craziest thing is, people are so, you know, opposed to leaving the people that they grew up with, or trying to make new friends, or, you know, they feel guilty in some weird way for leveling up whilst their friends have stayed in the same place. They're very, very opposed to it. But if you stay with, you know, your 5 closest friends who are either below you, or they're not doing much, or you're on the same level, how can you ever amount to anything? You are going to become, you know, you are going to remain at that level, because that is the only level you know. So therefore that level becomes basically default, right? Like that's almost accepted, you know? Whereas conversely, like you were saying, if you were to spend your time with 5 people who are at a very high level, that then becomes the default, and you're so behind them that you are going to do everything it takes, and you're going to be inspired, and you're going to be pushed by those people to then reach their level. Lastly, on the topic of energy, just to kind of wrap up, what you put out, you get back. Like, I firmly believe it. You know, the way you dress, the way you speak, the way you come across to people, body language, etc. All these things are like forms of energy. Energy is like everything. It's literally what you put out. So if you put out enough things that align with your goals or where you're trying to be in life, believe me, boys, that's going to come back to you, and you're going to be able to harness that and use that to your advantage and level up subsequently. I think that's also what I have. You mentioned meditation as well, which again, I think we've gone into previously. We've covered that a lot on the progress portal, so make sure you're in there. But meditation's a fantastic way to actually realize where your energy's going, because a lot of the times we're almost on like autopilot nowadays, especially with the way social media is set up to kind of steal your dopamine 24/7. I do this practice, so every hour I'll set an alarm, and I'll ask myself when that alarm goes off, what have I just been focusing on for the last hour? Do this, boys. You're going to realize how much of your energy is being stolen from you, because you're looking at things that have no, you know, direct result on where you're trying to be, or no kind of productive stuff. Stupid things on social media, YouTube, blah, blah, blah. You've been scrolling. You'll realize how much we actually get distracted in the modern world. So, you know, energy is everything. Make sure you're using it to your advantage. And if you do struggle to kind of get back to default, I highly recommend mindfulness, because it will allow you to A, get back to default, and B, actually realize where your energy is going. Because it's easy to think, I'm a positive person, my thoughts work for me, blah, blah, blah. But until you really do, you know, exercises like this on a regular basis, you're going to realize, like, shit, man, I focus on so much negative stuff. I'm always living in the future, or I've got so much regret. I'm living in the past. I'm thinking about things that have already happened, or this, that, and the other. I'm thinking negatively about this, and you know, you need to be aware of this, guys. Otherwise, you're going to be held back in life. Like our minds, we talked about it earlier. It's the most powerful tool we have. So you really need to make sure it's working for you rather than against you. And unfortunately, 95% of people, it works against them because of the way society is set up, the way you've been programmed from birth. It's up to you to now rewind that programming, reprogram yourself into a more positive, productive human being who has their mind working for them rather than against them. I don't want to waffle on too much, but
yeah, energy is like just sort of infectious. I think as well, as you were saying about meditating and thinking what have I been focusing on, you're almost set up on the technology we have today to fail and follow that to steal your energy. Like, don't want to go too deep down the rabbit hole, but people just think like these apps have just been created, but like the people behind these apps, you don't understand how like manipulative they can be. Or we won't get into that one too much because
they do say like you know, the new modern currency, not even energy, it's attention.
Yeah.
And when you think about what the majority of human beings are giving their attention to on a daily basis, you realize how meticulous these guys who've designed these things or who are marketing to us nowadays, you know, whether that's consumerism, whether that's something else, again, we're not going to get into that, but you realize how meticulous everything is, and everything is done for a reason. You know, be aware of where your attention goes. Essentially, if there's anything for you to take away from this, it needs to be focused on the things that are going to help you level up, because you're really set up to fail. Let's be honest, with the way everything is going, it's natural for you to fail. Like, that is the kind of default route. So make sure you're rewinding all of the bullshit, you're focusing on things that actually are going to help you level up, and that you're putting that energy into something that is, you know, going to result in something positive in your life.
Yeah, and again, so obviously we covered the bank balance sort of example. So you've got your £1,000, you can spend it on good things or bad things. But the thing that makes it even harder to navigate in this world is you've got 1,000,001 different things trying to rob you at literal gunpoint for your energy as well. So imagine how much on guard you have to be to. Imagine if it's like walking around in London with Rolexes all up your arm on here, Pateks all up your arm on here, 5 Cubans, and you're just going to walk through, I'm sorry I gotta do this, but walking through fucking Croydon or some shit. you're literally a walking target. You've worked hard to get these things. Navigating through the modern day world is like having 1,000,001 people, and I'm talking like guns pointing to your head, people chasing you down the street with knives. That's how like hard it is to be sort of conservative of your energy and make sure you're spending it on the right things, because an hour lost on TikTok is so the reason why it's so hard is because it's so easy. Comfort has never been more easier to find. Relaxation and sort of and then to pair it with how easy these things are is that they're so pushed towards it. You know, it's always have a day off if you don't feel well. You know, take time to realise how far you've come. You know, give yourself a pat on the back. These are all things that are going to instill incompetence, weakness, you know, poor sort of accumulation of your potential. So you need to actually be conservative of your energy, and you have got to go against the grain, unfortunately. The modern day world doesn't want you to succeed or become who you want to be. It wants you to be who they want you to be, rather than who you want to be. And this is what I'll always say when it comes to purposes. You either need to figure out your purpose and tell the world who you are, otherwise the world's going to do it for you.
Literally, you're basically walking through life blindfolded at that point.
Yeah.
You literally summarize capitalism
Yeah.
And consumerism to a degree by saying that, you know, everyone's fighting for your attention, ultimately your energy, right?
Yeah.
But the same thing in this case.
Yeah.
It is very, very powerful, so make sure you're using it for you rather than against you, because like Josh said, like you're not set up to win.
Yeah.
It just isn't the way the world works.
No. I think as well, sort of, it allows us, you can then begin to start to arm yourself with, because you're in a battle. Everything about the modern day world, navigating through it, it's a battle, it's a fucking war going on. And you need to learn to arm yourself with the right skill sets, the right methodologies, training principles, ethics as a man to actually stand a chance, because if not, it's going to be a fucking long route, and everything really is designed to sort of set you back. And one of those things is simply training. I sort of want to lead this on to Maka now, because it's not, training goes so much more beyond the physical, and almost it sort of leads you to unlock the keys to your body. Even just sort of, it's not really a subtle sell because it's free to sign up anyway, but one of the courses we've been working on in Progress Pop is a combat course. So the actual name's really cool, but it's actually teaching you essentially how to fight, but actually using the principles of combat to develop a better version of you, so to say. So I guess we say, Mark, your point on training and basically just unlocking the keys to your body.
Yeah, it always takes me back to that video of Joe Rogan saying like about Goggins, about like he's on a spiritual journey, and like if anyone's ever done like half marathon or a full marathon, you know you can do it, and it's all about having that belief in yourself. You're gonna get discomfort. I wouldn't even say pain, like it's never painful, it's just discomfort.
Yeah.
But again, as you were saying, in the modern day world there's so much comfort, like you can just phone a taxi and go home, like it's not training, like there's always a solution these days to discomfort, and that's where a lot of big businesses have come from. Like that's how they thought about their business, where you need to sort of use that discomfort as motivation to propel you to where you want to go. Like if you set yourself a goal to do it, just go out there regardless of what comes in the way of doing it, and you start seeing things in a different light. Like you don't even notice the discomfort anymore, you almost welcome it. Yeah. And that's why I look up to like Goggins, and whilst I'm not that extreme of how he is, but you know, I train twice a day, and a lot of it just for more mental clarity for me as well, just to know that I'm working harder than other people. And as I say, I'm not the most talented person, as we touched on, but if you can work the hardest in a day, there's no reason why you can't go out there and take what's yours. And that's physically, mentally, and especially in training where I want to be. You know, I almost come into boxing a bit late, so I almost think to myself, I need to be working harder than these people because I need to catch up, sort of thing. Where other people, they'll be like, oh, I've been doing it for years, and they almost get complacent. You never want to be complacent, and that's just almost the journey I'm on. Is like, it's a physical journey, but like it's led by like mental and spirituality. Like I want to push myself to where I've never been before, and do things like, especially at a young age. I think it might be Jordan Peterson that says it, like you want to be a monster and be able to control it. You don't know what you're capable of until you go out there and try and do it. And I don't want to get to that point where I'm 40, 50 and I know I haven't got the body to be able to do it. Like you don't understand how lucky you are now if you are young and fit and healthy. You can literally do anything. You've got so much time, so much energy, where when you're older you've got a few commitments, you know, you've got a few injuries, other people rely on you, you become less and less sort of able to do things, which is no excuse, don't get me wrong, but it does become harder, where like at our age now we've literally got the tools to do whatever we want, and that's where I'm on. That's my mentality at the minute.
That fired me up, man. Honestly, I want to get to work. Like,
where did so obviously on the topic of discomfort, cause you've had a couple of fights under your belts now, your feelings and sort of attitude towards discomfort on your first fight versus where you are now, because obviously we was with you the night before the fight and we couldn't get a word out of you, but I was going to do time or something. So handling that level of discomfort, obviously I understand there's going to be aspects of fear and stuff like that, but to categorise it, there was discomfort. When you get punched in the face, it's discomfort. How do you handle
it? It almost like consumes you, like again, and like that's what you're focusing on, that's what your thoughts are about, and you almost need that, like you need to visualise what's going to go on. It's a big like power, like I like to use. I almost want to like close my eyes and picture what I'm going to do, what combinations I'm going to throw, what's going to happen in the fight, and you start to see that. And I think that's where deja vu comes from. It's like if you're visualising something and then it comes into life, like you'll be like, oh, I've seen that before, but it's because you've thought about that thing. Where, as we were saying, they weren't getting much out of me, but it was mainly just, that was obviously a big thing that I needed to do, a massive experience that I was going through. You are going to get fear, and obviously if anyone knows Customato, who's Mike Tyson's old trainer, he says the difference between a coward and a hero is, you know, the hero actually takes that fear and uses it, where the coward allows that to use him and fears that your manipulation. It's another energy source, you can use it how you will. You know, you can either let it use you or you use it. And obviously, you know, I'll be the first to say, you know, I weren't victorious on the night, but I was almost wanting to just experience the first fight, and whilst it was a very, very close fight and a lot of, I think there was like 6 standing counts, which is probably unheard of in someone's first fight, to be honest with you. It was just a battle, like a brawl. It wasn't even a technical fight. We almost, everyone that was there knows how like electrifying it was, which I'm proud to be a part of. I also wanted to, like, in my next fight, go in with the mindset that I am gonna win, where I don't think that was my mindset going into that fight. It was more almost like,
Get it over.
I want to experience it, and I want to learn, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think that's what the amateurs is all about, is experiencing like different people and different styles, and learning about yourself as well, because I know it definitely earned a lot of people's respect on the night, because they didn't think maybe I had it in me, because I like to observe. I'm that thinker. I'm always the one in the room that is analysing everyone around me, and then I'll come to light. So maybe some people didn't think I had that in me, where on the night they seen like I can brawl, that I've got that fire, that dog mentality inside of me. Yeah. I almost gained a lot of respect that night, so that was the main thing for me.
Could you not always almost say as well, like, it's similar to the saying of like lost the battle but didn't win the war or something like that?
Definitely.
So like, you know, this is where I'm always big on sort of like looking beyond it and sort of sequential thinking. So it's like, you went into that fight, the whole concept, looking at that sort of first domino effect is looking at, you know, you go into a fight, you hit each other, someone wins, someone loses by either knockout, points, decision, it could be anything at all. But if we look beyond that, you've got experience, you've got understanding another person and their fighting styles, you've got overcoming fear, you've got, you know, the actual training and the expertise it takes to get there. So you've got one little minor thing here, but you've now got 5, 6 different things that you've actually won before that as well.
I think most people learn through loss as well. Like, if I'd have come out and I'd have won that fight, I might not have looked back at the fight and thought I need to improve on things. Where if I've lost, I've gone back and thought, okay, this is what we can do better. And most people are almost too self-centered to think that it's not about that, like, they couldn't have done anything better type of thing, and most people would stop, to be honest with you. Most people would taste defeat and don't want to feel that again and just call it quits there, where I've almost looked on it the other side and thought it's only going to make the win even better when it happens.
Let me ask you guys something quickly, just based off of everything you just said. Do the amateurs sound like something else to you?
They sound different. Because
in the sense of...
What, compared to pros?
Compared to just real life, does it remind you of anything?
Not as such, no.
Everything...
I can see where you're coming from, but I can't put a name on it,
Everything you just said is literally like your 20s.
In
the sense of, you need to find out who you are, you need to find out what you're made of, you need to level up, you need to, you know, taste defeat, taste, you know, that sense of fear, but use it to get better, to learn from. Learning curves at the end of the day. It's not even defeat really, because you're growing from it. You know, it's so comparable to real life in 20s, I feel.
It's almost like stoicism. Like, nothing has meaning until you give it meaning. Like, for example, there's almost like I think there's like a name and a theory or anything like that. So it's like, for example, a tree inside of a forest, if no one is actually, can it be heard if no one is actually there to witness it type thing? Because otherwise, how can you prove it? So it's like, nothing has meaning until you actually give it meaning. So really, and this is where we watched that Kanye thing and it just got me fired up. Like, you can say anything, and if you believe it to be so, it will be so, because you've given it that label to be so. Like the clip that we watched in hand was he was saying, he was in an interview and he says, look, if I had to stop rapping and I said I wanted to be in the NBA, I would be in the NBA. And the interview was like, no, you won't. And Kanye was like, no, I will be in the NBA. Like, no, you can essentially, like, did you really lose it? You could be delusional, and Macklin could say, no, I won the fight. Or like, I can say, you know, for example, I am delusional enough to think that I'm already stupidly wealthy and rich. I dress in a way that is wealthy and rich. I conduct my saying that wealthy is rich. And whilst I am not physically right now, I am making headway steps to actually make it, you know, so to be so. So most things you actually get to control how it actually happens. You know, for example, it could be something as simple as getting like a fucking splinter. You can look at it and obviously it's going to be discomfort, it's going to hurt, but if you just disregard it and say it doesn't hurt, it's going to hurt a lot less. So it's all about how you actually give a label and give meaning to something. If you allow it to have power over you, it's going to do so. It's going to consume you as well.
You're the master of your destiny.
Yeah.
I think purpose is a big thing as well. Like, that's why I love Jordan Peterson. He says you're not going to put up with the suffering if you've got no purpose. Like, but if you have got purpose, that almost gives it makes it better, the fact that you're going through that discomfort, that pain, whatever it is. Otherwise, what's the point? Like, I don't even, if people don't know what their goals and their purposes is, like, I don't know what they're doing. They're almost just going out seeking pleasure and dopamine.
That's
That's
all.
the only thing.
Walking through life blindfolded is the
Yeah.
example I think we use quite a lot, which is
Yeah.
very true, especially as a man in the modern world. Like
Yeah.
the amount of distractions that are going to come your way and the amount of potential pitfalls that you can encounter and that you will encounter without purpose, man. Like you really are like putting yourself in a losing position from the start, almost shooting yourself in the foot before the race has even begun.
It's energy as a currency. When I sort of mentioned walking down the street, the Rolexes and the chains, that is the same situation, but except this time you're letting those people attack you.
Yeah.
You're letting yourself get shot. You're letting yourself get killed. So you're putting yourself in an early grave. I spoke about a certain guy that me and Ibby saw on the Friday of this weekend, and literally the situation, I won't sort of go into the actual situation, but the point I want to make is that some people are buried at 75 but they die at 25, and until you actually see that, I've seen it on 2 occasions. That's rare in the amount of sort of people that I've seen and witnessed in my life, but honestly it's one of the saddest things that you can see. Like what a walking dead man, like it's crazy, because they've got no purpose, no vision, because they've got no direction of where they want to go. They're constantly pulled towards short-term pleasures, and those short-term pleasures will have long-term consequences, i.e. fucking becoming a dad because you was a fucking retard, like getting a kid and stuff like that. There's all these types of mad stuff, like where if you don't have a purpose, you're going to be constantly pulled off path, and it's just never going to really end well. But I figured it were interesting. We're getting towards the back end now, but sort of going over influential figures. I think you asked us this question. I think I sort of know Marcus now, but most influential figures for you guys?
Good question. I would say there's been like different, almost, are we talking, authors, are we talking YouTubers?
Just people that are, you can give
people
a couple of examples. Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah.
I would say Tate's given me work ethic.
Yeah.
That was the number one thing he did for me.
Yeah.
I'd say just getting my head down, working, man. Like I was wasting a lot of time before. I discovered his principles, let's say.
Yeah.
I would say, I'll let you go. I'll think of it.
Bro, like books, the book that changed me was Atomic Habits. Like that come at a point in time where that was just what I needed to know.
Yeah.
I think from musically, Bugsy Malone has always been the one I've looked up to. Where like he's done everything as well. He's got his own managements.
Yeah.
He's just balling now.
Yeah.
And maybe like Jordan Peterson for the articulate side of things.
Yeah.
I'm not sure on training, to be honest with you. There's so many different. Like Mike Tyson was just a beast.
No.
I'm going to throw a name that might be less recognisable than the names that we've just come out with, but Eckhart Tolle for me, in terms of he was the guy who propagated the idea of mindfulness, and for me that really like allowed me to live life from a different perspective. Probably the biggest perspective shift I've ever had in my life, to be honest with you, in terms of living in a more present state on a day-to-day basis, feeling more grateful, more fulfilled, and just having the correct perspective on life, rather than almost being on autopilot day in, day out, like really enjoying the little things, and then learning to appreciate the moment for what you have.
I would say for me, obviously, like the Tates, but we've especially sort of with Andrew, it was never like the work ethic came after I'd already immersed myself within his content. I would say for me it was because he's such a strong and well-known character. He says what he says and he stands by that, and he doesn't change that for no one. I used to live a lot of my life where I dressed so like when I was, this was fucking putting myself out for a grill in here, but like I had no confidence and no sort of sense of who I was or who I was. I always knew I wanted to be better, but I didn't know who I wanted to become. I had no strong visualization. So all these missing gaps that I had from childhood, from missing like parents and shit like that, I needed other people to fill that for me. So it would be something as fucking gay as like I would see certain girls say that they liked certain clothing. I would go out and buy that clothing so I could get validation from the girls. I would say a certain thing to then using a line towards a girl. So like if she liked a certain music band, I would say that I like that. Proper gay, like...
Oh, you mean manipulation?
Just proper like low, bottom of the barrel shit, because I needed to use those things to get her to validate my confidence. I would say certain things to be correct in, sort of like an actual social situation and stuff like that. So the concept with Tate and stuff like that is that he allowed me to understand who I was by understanding who he was and what he wanted to stand by. And from there, almost taking off that sheath of wondering, are people going to like me? Are people going to correct? Is this going to get backlash? Now I'm just like, fuck the lot of you, so I'll just say what I believe to be so. And believe it or not, this is in regards to your purpose. Mainly, I guess, obviously with like female relationships and stuff like that, but even with guys with respect, you're gonna get initial resistance. But I'm telling you now, if you can get past that first 1 to 2 like backlash comments, you're actually gonna get more respect and more honor with that, because what you're showing is that you believe to be so, and you're not willing to change and adapt from what other people say. Because if you do change, what you're showing in your behaviour when you read between the lines is that you're constantly willing to change just to get an answer of their yes. So then they're going to be thinking, well, how many other times are you going to be willing to change? And this goes with girls in your arguments. If you're constantly changing your point, she's not going to trust you. She's not going to see you as that protective guy, that guy that is designed to be there and sort of like provide that sort of masculine shell around that, because you're constantly wanting to sell your soul just to get a yes from her to avoid an argument. So you need to learn to validate your own opinions.
I don't trust guys like that as well.
Oh no. These days now, I have more red flags with guys than I do with girls.
Same.
Girls are girls, and I don't really like.
I don't judge them for the way they are. Like
they have no relation to my purpose or anything.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But guys, I have so many red flags and shit like that with guys. It's crazy. For me as well, I would say so. Like Bugsy Malone was a big one. As much as obviously you two are like die-hard UFC fans, Conor McGregor was a massive one for me. For those of you that may have seen his Tony Robbins interview, it was the fact of like he mentioned something about like where he came from, something like Dublin 12 or some shit like that. It's he wasn't that town demographically is not destined to bring out people like McGregor type thing. So it's the concept of you're not supposed to do it, but you're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
And the reason why I connected so well with that statement is because I remember saying that before I heard him say that. So to know that there's other people out there that see those things and he sort of put it into a better label, much like Bugsy Malone does for me as well. They put my things that I've always thought for years and they put it into words, and it almost helps me understand myself a lot more as well.
Bro, Conor's rise was amazing.
Yeah,
and I'm going to highlight a lot of what he used to talk about, less so now, but if you go back to his old interviews, he was huge on energy.
Yeah.
Like he understood how to harness energy. He would talk about belief, feeling, that belt around him before he was even in title contention. He would feel, the crowd roaring. He'd feel him driving himself a Ferrari. And he talks about this in interviews. Like he was huge visualization, self-belief, confidence, journaling, manifestation, all these things he talked about a lot back in the day. So it just goes to show like he really understood what energy actually is, and he harnessed it correctly, and look where he is now.
Just living the Mac life.
Fantastic, man. And I guess we've gone on a couple of different topics now, but we'll sort of round it off here as a final question. We'll do 4 people. 4 people you can have dinner with from any time in the world, anywhere. Who are you gonna go with?
John Zercher.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
I'd have to have like Ali for the religious, just a goat. I don't think you could go to dinner with Mike Tyson back in the day. I think he'd just go.
I think he'd try feed you psychedelic mushrooms or something and not tell you.
Maybe. Probably just looking at him like the Leo could be a shout.
Jordan Belfort.
But you need sort of diversity, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Are you thinking?
Yeah, like he just wouldn't shut up though.
No, the thing is, 5 minutes into the conversation, he'd be crying. And just get awkward and stuff. I've got one name for certain. Cristiano Ronaldo. Yeah, I looked up to him when you were talking about McGregor. He is the epitome of hard work. He was born with nothing. He wasn't he had no talent growing up. He worked to where he is now. Arguably the best footballer of all time. Obviously the best footballer of all time. I hope people get triggered by it. These Messi fans have been talking too much. He worked for everything he has. So for me, it's like, how can you not look at him and just admire him for what he's accomplished? I think I'd definitely look to sit down with like a famous general.
Sun Tzu, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I've been looking at his works a lot recently. Miyamoto Musashi, arguably one of, if not the greatest warrior to ever live, undefeated, the undisputed champ of his era, never lost a round, never got knocked down.
Genghis Khan.
He'd be up there, I would just love to study and pick apart the great minds of history. Men who've gone on to achieve,
great things.
Yeah.
Amazing, accomplishments that just go beyond what we can even fathom as possible for, our human sort of.
See, I've thought about mine for a long time. So I would go Seneca or Marcus Aurelius,
Ooh,
depending on if the
that's
dials
a
are
very good
available.
one. Yeah.
So yeah, Seneca or Marcus Aurelius for their philosophies, because you got to remember, especially for the next answers that I give, these guys basically formed the thinking principles that birthed their next ideas. So Seneca and Aurelius are hugely influential. So I'd want to pick apart mainly how something so ancient, like how is it that they had no Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth, no connection to the other world? These guys didn't even know if fucking dinosaurs existed. So it's like, how can they have such limitations yet be thinking of ideas that are so prominent? I would say their beliefs and their teachings are more prominent now than they are back then, 100%. So those two. Leonardo da Vinci, to piece
That's
into
sick.
the creative side of things. I mean, that guy was creating literal blueprints for stuff that other people took credit for further down the line.
Yeah.
To understand, or again, as an alternative, Michelangelo, but that's strictly down the line of artistics, and like the precise understanding of the anatomy of the human body was just absurd, the craftsmanship. But yeah, Da Vinci would be good to understand how his mind worked. I definitely want to go with Andrew Tate because I want to know about being a pioneer, and I want to understand his plan. Like, how did he go from Luton, which is such an accessible place in the UK, like it's just there's TV shows about a shitty airport there, like, so how can you go from something so small? How was he able to create this idea to get to something so monumental that's going to go on for centuries? And then possibly I would maybe say, like, in fact, you know what, I'll go for a fiction. I'll let you go for another answer as well, but you can do a fictional character as well. I would say, with where I'm at now, Harvey Specter. I'd want to sit with Harvey Specter. I want to understand about how he, because obviously the that universe is such a competitive industry. Like, everyone's coming for your top spot. So I want to know how he gets to the top spot and what's it like to actually contend where you've got constant gunfire every day. Like, what's warfare like?
That'd be a great guy to like just pick his mind apart and sort of learn how he's done his. To be fair, your aunt actually did give me a lot of ideas. I'd say, is it 4 people? In no order, I'd say Ronaldo, obviously for work ethic. Tate for almost like his journey, just learning the beliefs and values and principles that made him, and getting to kind of have that on a one-to-one basis would be amazing. I think for the fictional character, now this name probably will be very unheard of to the people who are still listening. Hermes Trismegistus, he's one of the greatest minds to ever live, but not very known. A lot of his work is esoteric, so it's quite hidden, it's not really accessible to the public, but I would love to pick his mind. If indeed he was a real person, there's still actually debates whether he was like a metaphor almost for the ideas that were being pushed, or he was a real person, whatever you think. If we're saying fictional character, I'd say him. Nikola Tesla.
I was just thinking that as
well.
I
think that would be amazing to have a conversation with him, and just how is he propagating ideas back then that were literally unheard of, coming up with electricity and how to harness energy and stuff like that back then is like ridiculous. And I think you can make the same argument for Leonardo da Vinci as well. Amazing minds. Just I'd love to just pick them and just learn how they do it.
So mine probably Dave Ali, Jordan Belfort for the fictional. Now you mentioned Tesla, probably Elon Musk. And then maybe like an Einstein, like just imagine the stuff you could pick out of that man's brain.
The only thing, especially with the characters that I've gotten, I could have a legitimate conversation with those because I've studied them and I respect them enough. With guys like Tesla, and sort of like true pioneers or like Musk, I won't be underqualified. It's just I would want to be respectful of my time and their time, where I know too little about how they came to what they are now to even fathom asking a question.
But you could find common ground still,
I could try.
Minds that are that genius, they do appreciate, like, they almost have to talk about that stuff all the time. I've seen a lot of like what we consider extremely, let's say pioneers of the modern age. They talk about this a lot where, you think all they want to talk about is this, that and the other, but truthfully they also enjoy like down-to-earth conversations. Like, everyone always comments on Tesla's work, but no one asks Tesla how he feels. How's he really doing?
Yeah. Maybe that's the entry point. Who knows?
But bro, like we were talking about, about stoicism, they might not feel like the modern day person, they might have just hit all that side of things and it's just purely logical, you don't know what their brain feels or thinks.
So true.
Yeah. But I guess that sort of wraps up the episode for now, guys. Obviously, we're going to be doing more Linkups. A lot of this you'll have seen on like YouTube and a lot of shorts, and it'll be in snippets and stuff like that. Of course, get yourself over to the portal, and we will see you guys for the next episode soon.